I know it doesn't look hopeful, but I promise this time there will be a restart in the episode. Guess I better get my shit together then. Don't worry, it's not a pipe dream. I haven't done any of the switches yet, obviously. And I did make sure that it turned over at least on the electric starter when I re-hooked up the battery and found that I needed to adjust my my fuse box situation. Yes, Mama's got a brand new fuse box. Is that a euphemism? Anyway. So I've ordered lots of fuel line in varying sizes and shapes and lengths and whatever. So it'll work for that, definitely. And it may work for the main fuel line, although obviously I've got some of that, haven't I? Duh. Yeah, okay, whatever. Don't know whether I'm going to use this or not. It'll be kind of fun to try it out at least. Definitely got to do something about the positive terminal because it barely reaches at the moment. And I want to tidy all this area up and get it to run nicely behind the frame so it's all hidden. So the other thing about this, apart from being gargantuan in size, is that it clearly takes a large piece of wire. And somewhat ironically, the original part that goes to the 30 amp main fuse has got that weedy little wire there, and that doesn't add up to me at all. You would think it'd be something like that, right? I don't know. The other situation with this is, as you can see, it's got an in and an out, which again makes perfect sense. This hasn't, which doesn't make any sense. To me, at least. It comes off the solenoid, starter relay, whatever you want to call it, and goes to a fuse, and that's it. So if it blows that fuse, what's it stopping? Because it doesn't go anywhere else. Confusion. Another great song by New Order. Talking of which, yes, tour announcement. Peter Hook and the Light are touring America next summer. And if you haven't seen them, they do a double set. It's New Order and Joy Division. And if you're into any of that kind of stuff, then I thoroughly recommend them. There you go. Saw them in LA a couple of years ago and they were bloody brilliant. So I don't know whether I'm using 10 gauge or 8 gauge, but I've already done this one. So I'm just putting on these sleeves. Yeah, using a heat gun, which Kurt gave me. Yes, it looks a little bit worse for wear, but we did it on the Maserati because he had these beautiful connectors, which were just straight through connectors like this, no sleeve at all, and yeah, and then we used that to seal it, and it really does a nice job. Lovely. Anyway, how lovely is that? How neat and tidy is that? Yeah, love it. How cool is that? Alright, so just briefly, I'm thinking this is going to sit like this, kind of perpendicular to the frame, and all that wiring will be covered up. That'll be nice. And so here's the problem. This is the bloody problem, right? Because I obviously don't want it to sit there. I just put it there temporarily, and I don't know where else I could mount it, but I'm sure I can find somewhere. But I just don't want that fuse. Anyway, everything else is shaping up. We got positive leads and negative leads, and Frankenstein is powered up. Yes, and yes, we have ignition. C, and we have cranking. But what we don't have is a bloody brake light. I mean, how difficult is that? Come on. It's 2 wires. There they are. Alright, I'm going to try it off the front brake. behold. And then there was light. And then there was brake light. Yeah, we got it. We got it all lighting up. The worrying thing is, it's not quite what I expected to happen. So the brake light doesn't work off the pedal, but it does off the front lever. So yeah, good enough for me. And I'm not sure how and why and what, and I guess I mislabeled stuff, and it's certainly not how it's hooked up before when the backlight didn't work but the brake light did. So whatever, at least when you hit the brakes, the brake light comes on, and that's all that matters. And you should be using 60/40 minimum front to back. So you're good. No rear wheel skids. Stop it, you Londoners. Not so fast. I found another wire labelled BS. Yes, and it blew a fuse when I... Yeah, it's cool, isn't it, mate? Now I know which fuse is blown. Well, we got there eventually. Took a couple of fuses, but we are pedalling and braking. Yeah. Aha, yes, the old trial and error method. Well, while we're blowing fuses apart, what I thought I'd do is tackle the left-hand handlebar switch, which I'm struggling to find anything that would kind of work for me switch-wise. And of course, what I figured is that we've got two sets of lights, right? We've got lights on and off. So I want to bypass the on-off and just have them on permanently all the time as riding lights. So that's cool. So hopefully that'll just be a question of tying the two wires together, and that's a job done. That'll put me down to 3 switches, one for high beam and 2 for the indicators, because we are using indicators, yes, and although not in the rear. So that'll help, because there's plenty of 3 switch stuff out there. I know, I promised I'd start it up. I will, I promise. I think I have finally found a solution to the switches for the Suzuki, because I was looking at these online, because you can get 3 in a row, and the 2 latchable, 1 momentary, which kind of didn't really work the way I was thinking. And then these 2 that I had, I bought by mistake, and they're both momentary. So these would work perfectly for the indicators. And they could go here on the left-hand side, which is your clutch hand. And then on the other side, we can have the triple. Well, there's less room there. We could have the triple, which would be 2 latchable, which would be your kill switch and your high beam, and then 1 momentary, which would be the start button. So that could work. Because having dismantled it all, orange is basically the main power to the switch. White and green is a horn, and white and red, this one is the horn, so we don't need them. White itself is running lights, yellow is main beam, and brown is the rear lights, and then the rest is the indicators. Here, all the greens. Yeah, so we got plenty of it. We can run it whichever way we want. It goes down in there. It's this one here. So we can chop a lot of it off right there, feed it into the positive, obviously, the main power, the orange, because that goes back here to the fuses, which you'll notice I haven't blown any. Yeah, so we're getting there, because we're going to have the running lights coming on with the key, so we're all good. This all traces back through there originally, down here to here, so I can kind of wire up the running lights anywhere I like, really. As you can see, the original casing is completely knackered, and you know, it's 40 years ago, I guess, 30 years ago. So it's done well. in the heat. So for wiring the headlights in permanently, I've actually used some connectors that I don't normally like using, but they're perfect for this because they're basically joining the power, the orange line, with the white and the brown that control the lights. So essentially it's a blade here that slices through the two and joins them together. And as you can see, it works beautifully. So that's that all wrapped up, and I'm leaving all the rest of it at the moment because what I'm thinking is probably all I'm going to need is the actual power line, this main power line that goes back to the fuse, because everything else is going to come off the new switches up here, so I probably don't need all this in any great length because I can connect it down here somewhere where it will all be hidden. Oh no, when's he going to start it up? He said he was going to start it up. Yes, be patient. Well, I think I've finally found my switch solution. So we've got two lockables, two manual returns, which will do the kill switch and the high beam, and then the self-starter button on the back for the actual starter. So that's cool. And then on the other side, we have a monkey. We have the same deal. So left and right indicator, and possibly a horn or a flash if we wanted to connect anything up like that. Well, that was going to happen sooner or later. Yes, we had to get the specs out and look at the wiring diagram because the indicators aren't playing ball. So the strongest signal to the relay does this. Yeah, no good. And the closest I can get it to work is this. So there's a very weak pulse coming from the relay, which doesn't really do the job. Pulse wiring, I believe. I know it's not electrical, but it is an acid test at this point. Yay, Velcro works. Well, it's stuck anyway. So that's good. The acid test is, of course, when I rip the Velcro apart and the stickers still stick to what they're supposed to stick to. As Peter Piper once said about pickled peppers or something. Oh, I know. Can't he stay on topic for 1 minute? No, yeah, and wasn't he supposed to be starting the bike this episode? Meantime, good news on the electric front is that I have at least sussed out the high beam, which wasn't going to be difficult, but there you go. Sweet.
And now for something completely different.
Give us another quick demo, mate. With a drink. There you go. That's cheap. Yeah, that's good. That's good. There we go. A brief interlude thanks to my friend Matthew Schneeberger. I went to his girlfriend's party last night, birthday party, and he was showing me his new toy, which is very exciting. Actually, it's pretty cool. I'm going to have a go when I'm brave enough and I've got time enough. It took him about 90 minutes to get the hang of it, and he's been zooping around the roads at 30 miles an hour. Looks fun, right? Yes, apparently he has a range of about 40 miles, which is pretty good because he can get to the nearest town and back without running out of juice. And it's an off-road version, so it's got slightly higher pedals that you stand on, and which means obviously you can crank it around and put your knee down as well. But apparently he hasn't yet. I digress. Yes, when's he going to start the bloody Suzuki up? I know. Ta-da! Multiple choice. And I think it's all too big, actually. Don't say that. What else turned up today? Yes, stickers and my my attempt at creating my logo. I had to do it in 2 bits, as you can see. And there we go. What do you think? Well, it doesn't look bad from a distance. It's not so great because I had to cut it out. I put it on the blue background so I could cut it out. And it's all right. However, having informed my local company that $65 was extortionate and I could buy a whole fuel tank for that price, I then contacted another contact that I had that I found, I can't remember, on Facebook I think it was, who works out of a trailer. And yeah, she's gone ahead and just done them, even though I'd ordered the other ones. Whole job, $15 for proper laser cut stickers. So they're coming, so I'll probably use those. But that's the general idea, and it looks quite good, doesn't it? I think. And I know, when's he going to start the bloody thing up? Well, all the fuel lines were a little bit looser than I'd like for that particular job. So Chris is coming Wednesday to drop back the, what's he dropping back? Oh yeah, the tree for the Honda. So I'm going to ask him about that little overflow, whatever it is. I think it's like a backflow or something. I don't know. We'll see how tight it has to be. I know, we're getting dangerously close to our millennial episode time limit. And yes, we're not starting the bike, are we? No. Don't worry. I will extend the episode. I promise. I'm not helping now, am I? I'm just waffling on. Well, I'm feeling a little deflated, honestly. And here's why. My wibbly wobbly seat has, sprung a leak. I detected smoke blowing up my arse this morning, probably from that seam, because it's plugged at the other end with a butt plug. And as you can see, lost its spring. I know how it feels sometimes. Yeah, luckily I've got another one in the office, so I'll bring it back. Well, guess what arrived today? Yes, the new switches, which are a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be, or I hoped they were going to be, but they fit just. So we need to start wiring up to the proper one. And while I was messing around with these, I also painted those and put in just a spare piece of aluminum tube. Yeah, how about that? Looks kind of cool. I like it anyway. So the paint matches the tank, another little detail. And in the interests of starting the bike again, yes, we got some more fuel line. This arrived 3 days early, according to eBay, because it came from Chino Valley, which is just down the road. So I might drop into Max Motorsports next time I'm in the valley. And that's a much tighter fit, so that was a real bitch to get on, actually. And we got plenty of it. So, yes. So that'll reach adequately, and that looks rather sexy, actually, I think. Yes. Okay. So now, of course, I've got no excuse whatsoever for not fitting the tank and getting on with starting it up again, right? However, I just had an idea. Dangerous, huh? I was just going to start shuffling all this stuff around, and this is to make room for my switch. And I suddenly realised if we did not do the indicators after all and saved them for another time to fight another day, probably on that if it ever gets handlebars. So yeah, so that switch could do kill switch, high beam, starter motor. And we don't need a switch over there at all. And seeing as wiring up these mothers is becoming such a nightmare, despite the wiring diagram, I think I might just do that and not have indicators again. I mean, I haven't got any indicators on any of my other bikes, including the Triumph now. Because in the squeeze, that is my garage, yes, getting it out the other day, it's the boy under the grey cover, I realised that at some point it had demolished the front indicator. So it's got no front indicators. It has got rear indicators because they're built into an aftermarket backlight, which is rather nice. Got the same deal on the 748. If I ever see that bike again, because Derek's got it. Perhaps I need to call the police. No sooner is it said than done. Yes, executive decision. Indicators removed. Indicatorless bike with extraordinarily long fuel thing. So the sheath that this came with is plastic, even though it looks kind of cloth-like. I thought it might shrink wrap. Yeah, I thought I'd get my old gun out again. Yes. But no, it didn't. So what I'm going to try now is putting some of that shrink wrap stuff over the top and then heat it up, see what happens. Yes, I think that worked quite nicely. If you can see that. Can you see that? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Alright, good. So for now, all I'm going to do is wire in the high beam to one of the latching switches, because I know you're impatient to see the restart, and I'm not going to wire in the kill switch and the starter button just yet, because they're still functionary, as we know, on the old switch. So I'm going to leave them on the old switch for now. And for all you millennials that are hanging in there way after your attention span limit, hats off to you. Well, that's that sorted. Nice and easy. So that's just the yellow wire to the switch, which is the white, and the white to the orange, which is the power. Bingo. Job done. Okay, so pre-restart, I'm just looking at other tubes that are hanging off the whole carburetor system, and they're all kind of the same deal, diameter wise, ID wise. Yeah, they're just hanging off. I think they just go to atmosphere. I think there's some kind of carburation breather, exhaust, whatever. I'm going to check with Chris, but if they are, and they all seem to be this kind of inside diameter, I'm going to replace them all with red and make them kind of cool. Yeah. Pretty sure they weren't attached to anything before. So, yeah. Hang in there, kids. We're getting there. What do I care? None. I mean, look at the stats. None of my viewers are millennials. And if they were, I lost them already. I lost 2 more subscribers today. What's going on? I add a few, I lose a few. Come on. Subscribe if you haven't already. Down here. So I've brought the ignition side of things over to meet up with this. And I think we can safely chop off a couple of feet. Honestly. No. So I've routed that one round inside just to keep it out of harm's way. Chop all that back, and yeah, wire it all up. Okay, we are trimming. Now we've decided on the location of everything. So I've trimmed a little bit off this too, so that it fits better, and we've chopped that off, and we're going to reconnect that down here. And then the same with the neg. We're going to trim that as well. And then we're going to trim the oil catch tank and fit that. Aye, looks like he might be getting close to starting it up. Yes, indeedy. We have it back in there. We have it plumbed in. And there's a fair amount of leakage, even with the fuel tap turned off, when I was manoeuvring it around. So that was a little disconcerting. A lot of gasoline everywhere, as usual. But seems to be okay now. It's all buttoned down, so... So I've actually turned the fuel on now to the on position, and put that blue rag there because that will show me whether anything's leaking or not. So I'm just going to leave it like that for a bit before we fire it up, and have to get the fire extinguishers out. Yes. Well, a couple of hours later, in terms of lighting the blue touch paper, it all looks quite dry. I might just ignite it. So, in the interest of health and safety, I'm going to be extraordinarily patient and leave it overnight. You just have to wait a couple more seconds. It's exciting though, right? Kinda. Well, it is really, because, you know, I might wake up in the morning to a gas, petrol-soaked garage. I might not wake up at all because the whole house caught fire and I died in it. So I'll let you know. All pre-checks are done and I survived the night. There was no horrendous fire. So we are ready to go. And I have moved everything back accordingly. 2 reasons. Firstly, we are going to start this up. Yes, any minute now. And this, I moved back. I have rested it now on its frame, now that the exhausts are gone. And I shall be using this to take the front wheel off to complete the final thing on the board here, which is front forks. Paint or polish? I'm going for paint, of course, because I hate polishing and I like painting when it goes right anyway. All right, let's start her up. Ready for takeoff. This is going to be tricky because we need throttle and choke and start button, which isn't connected to anything. Let's try. No leaks. Well, I hope that was worth waiting for. I thought so, for sure, and I think that deserves some celebration, so cheers. Thanks for watching. We'll be finishing the project, I hope, actually. Just a few little bits and pieces to finish up, including those front forks getting painted. And obviously wiring in the ignition to my new switch. So, yes, if you haven't already, subscribe, please, down here. And encourage others to watch my lunacy.